Peace and salute.
Get up. What? What? Yeah. Smoke it up. What? What? Yeah.
You don't really understand sometimes what a terrible burden it is to know some of the things that I know. And try to wake people up and impart this knowledge to them. And find out that they just have walls built in front of them. They want to be slaves.
Now, I risk sounding like a conspiracy theorist, but it's no longer a theory. What I'm about to say is fact. The secret organizations of the world power elite are no longer secret. They have planned and are now leading us into a one-world communist government.
ODD TV. Take a journey with me deep inside the rabbit hole. Wake up, my friends, there's some things that you have to know. Everything you ever thought you knew, it has to go. For instance, NASA is the world's largest magic show. 9/11 was a planned demolition and Sandy Hook was a scam. Come on, man, are you tripping? Constant programming being crammed in your vision. Just take a step back and examine this prison. Turn on the news and they're trying to blind you. All they ever do is tell you lies and divide you. There's nowhere you can even hide, they'll find you. Illuminati all-seeing eye right behind you. It's about time you find out we're being lied to. They're attempting to control the mind that's inside you. Hide you from the power that designed you. Does anybody have a problem with this? Well, I do. I want the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. They say they got it, but they're never coming up with proof. If you're looking, then they got you jumping through these hoops. The lies always continuing to rise and busting through the roof. I want the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. They say they got it, but they're never coming up with proof. If you're looking, then they got you jumping through these hoops. The lies always continuing to rise and busting through the roof. They're lying to us about everything. How can this be? I know I'm not crazy, and yet I'm questioning my sanity. I see what the Illuminati's doing to humanity. The truth is stranger than fiction. We're living in a fantasy. What I'm witnessing is unreal. It's a one-way battle for us cattle going uphill. If we don't stand and fight now, then no one will. Our children will never know freedom. It's a done deal. The future's not looking so promising. It's the poor who go to war while the rich keep on profiting. It's us that they're slaughtering and money that they're honoring. And soon it's gonna be the new world order that they're offering. It's mind-boggling how so many don't seem aware. And if they are, it's like they really just don't even care. Our world is broken and I'm hoping it can be repaired. But we'll have to fight for it, so just be prepared. I want the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. They say they got it, but they're never coming up with proof. If you're looking, then they got you jumping through these hoops. The lies always continuing to rise and busting through the roof. I want the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. They say they got it, but they're never coming up with proof. If you're looking, then they got you jumping through these hoops. The lies always continuing to rise and busting through the roof.
Forget the politicians. The politicians are put there to give you the idea that you have freedom of choice. You don't. You have no choice. You have owners. And they own all the big media companies, so they control just about all of the news and information you get to hear. They got you by the balls. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking.
Peace, Solama Native. What's good, everybody? I was gonna read a PDF, but I don't know, man. I might not. Peace, Chris. Just been doing some reading lately. Looking into that train derailment. And people seem to be more sick than what the news is talking about. An orange man was over there. Plaid Panther, peace. People are throwing up blood. Has anyone heard about that pyramid that's in Wyoming? I was watching John Levy's video. I think it was yesterday. I never knew there was a pyramid. They covered most of it up, though, in Wyoming. I think that's pretty interesting. When I go out to Colorado, I'm going to try to check that out. I don't know how close Colorado is to Wyoming, but I definitely am going to see some stuff. That's for sure. Yeah, there's pyramids everywhere. And the more I watch John Levy and research these buildings, there definitely was taller people. And where the fuck did they all go? Were they all killed in this war or whatever happened? Where these deserts turned to rubble? So many questions, so little information. I was gonna finish reading this Odyssey, but I don't know. It's not that interesting. I mean, it is, but it's not as interesting as his Native American book I'm reading. And I don't have that file on my other phone. So much for that. Giants could have been eating everything after these big trees were knocked over or whatever happened to them. They look like some of them look like they're ripped right out of the ground. No, I like the Epic Odyssey, but I don't know if other people are interested in it. It's more like a play. I left off on page 23. With Telemachus. Yeah, I got both the Cliff Notes and the full experience. I was reading the full experience. The Cliff Notes is pretty good too. But it seems like it jumps around. And it even seems back in them days there was a lot of war too. I gotta set up this Native American book I have. And I gotta finish uploading. I mean, I really didn't have nothing planned for today. I just figured I would go live because I haven't in so many days. See if people want to talk about something. I really didn't plan nothing out. I've been more into all the Native American stuff. Yeah, I think there's something with the North Pole, especially with that Urbano Monte map, and even Australia being a part of Antarctica, and the Arctic, the Arc, and then you got the Antarctica. The pole would be the anti. I mean, the arc, the plus, and Antarctica is the negative, the anti. It reminds me of a magnet, like we live on a giant coil of energy. Hopefully Lucid will jump up in here. I told him I was going live. Let me make sure. Uh, three people watching. It's pretty disappointing. Three people. Maybe I will read then, if nobody's going to come up and discuss anything. Even though I don't feel like reading nothing. Maybe somebody else is live. I don't know. I didn't check. Really didn't care to. Well, if anyone wants to come up, just hit the link. Let me see what else I got. I might read this other stuff. This UFO of the Germany here is way more interesting. About Victor Schwauberger. It was nearly the end of World War II. At the same time, scientist Victor Schwauberger worked on a secret project. Janus Kepler. Thank God. I don't want to read.
Hey, good morning.
What's up? What's up, bro?
Hey, Charles. Peace and blessings to the folks in the chat. Even though there's only so many of us today, it was a long night. You know, maybe it was a long night for everyone.
Yeah. And I haven't went live in a few days.
Yeah, where you been?
Just chilling.
That's good.
I stopped
Need our
going live so
downtime.
much. There's so much shit that goes on. Too much arguing and so much division. So I fell back for a while. I'm not gonna go live every single day.
Yeah, it's quite a task. It's a lot of like ministry, you know, to use a loaded word. So it's taxing for, you know, content creators or, you know, social media channel hosts such as yourself on these newer this new metaverse style of like people watching TV like this, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I forget people watch YouTube on their TV. I be forgetting that shit.
Yeah. Always remember that there's like, you know, there's numbers in the chat that can't even participate in the chat because they're watching on a TV or something, you know, or maybe they're watching it on their Xbox or something like that, you know.
Peace, Anna K. Long time no see, man. I'm glad you're here.
But one thing I wanted to mention to you, Charles, was the Klamath Indians, the Klamath tribe in Oregon. I can't really turn down my volume anymore, so if that's me echoing, I really apologize. But I'll make this quick.
I don't hear no echo.
Oh, okay. I'm getting a little feedback, but anyway, it's all good. The Klamath tribe, though, Oregon, there's a book by a woman whose name totally escapes me right now, but it's an older book, and each chapter is like on something about the tribe. So like one of the chapters is even named like about our tobacco. It's like our tobacco, you know. Anyway, the Klamath talk about the Waga, and the Waga were these tall whites, a race of giant white people that lived here, and says that they built a bunch of stuff. They built amazing things, super advanced, and then they left and went to Hyperborea. They all just left one day. And it's, you know, it's a big mysterious thing. It's part of the Klamath tradition. They write about it. They talk about it. It's like it's just part of the whole thing. And they're not the only tribe with that tradition either. And I know there's a lot of discussion about the Cherokee and Californians and being black and all of that. And I think that that's a huge element to all of this as well, is because of, you know, these ancient race wars. And I'm just going to drop a bunch of terms here between Aryans and Dravidians and this race and that, you know, red, yellow, white, black. I mean, you know, it's a very interesting gamut and arena of what do you say, like kind of like, it's like teams that you didn't pick, like nobody, you find yourself in the midst of all of this. You didn't choose to be here, and so many of us know so very little about it, about who the people that were here before, because the more that I studied history from when I really got serious about it, 20 years ago, when I first went to college and became a history major and realized that I can't even get a decent education in the alabaster halls of academia because of the control, of the that the controllers, the top hats have over the system, over the establishment, over academia, and seemingly their grasp over epistemology and even ontology, the very nature of being. Now they want you to, and they've successfully got, a lot of people to deny their own senses and not even believe their own lying eyes, so to speak, about space and all that kind of stuff. I was watching, anyway, I'll keep it at that. So, but yeah, the WAGA and it's really interesting.
It's
You go ahead.
interesting, man. I didn't know you majored in history. I think you did mention that though. But no, go ahead, keep going. That's interesting what you're speaking on.
Yeah, I was in college 20 years ago. It's really weird. The world was totally different back then, and I remember, really wanting to figure stuff out, and like so many do when they go to college. I turned down a few other things, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to read books, and I really want to figure this stuff out. And I'll never forget when I was about, let's see, was I 18 or 19 years old? It was my first or second year. So I was like 18, first year in college. And it was, somebody gave me the mission of, well, basically they said that we didn't land on the moon. And I was like, oh, you can't say that. That's preposterous. How dare you? Of course we landed on the moon. And then they're like, oh, well, you need to prove it then. And just do a little research. And anyway, that totally changed my life. I was like, whoa. And then I had to sit down like as a scholar and realize like, oh my gosh, now that I'm looking into it, I'm doing the best I can here to support and prove the fact that NASA landed on the moon in the 60s, and I can't do it because they didn't. And the more I look into it, the more I find out that, that it's actually really stupid to believe that. And then it goes deeper because it's not actually like that. It's the same reason why I look up at night and I see the moon never moving, and yet you're supposed to believe that it's spinning and that you're spinning and that everything is spinning and it's all going a million miles an hour. And then you're like, and you go outside, it's all really nice out, and there's just like a hummingbird and like a butterfly, and everything's all peaceful, and you're just like, but I'm spinning around a million miles an hour. So like all these lies and everything, and I've been watching this happen my whole life, my entire adult life, this encroachment with the New World Order, the totalitarianism, the gayification of everything, the emasculation of Western society. And now we see this defeminization of women, and now they're losing their own women's spaces to men. And this whole thing is just flying so far out of control. You ever heard of the term of a dog king? A dog king in old times was how an enemy would basically go in and vanquish their opponents. They would take them over by installing a dog king and demoralizing the people, and making sure that the leader that they installed was an imbecile, incompetent, so that the people, when they do get taken over, the people go, oh my gosh, we didn't stand a chance because we had this incompetent ruler. When they don't realize that they were already taken over before that. The dog king was installed by your enemies that were embedded within. And so the fact that America would get to that point, a lot of American scholars say that Abraham Lincoln was the last technical legal president of the continental United States, because the Civil War broke America's back, and There hasn't been a legit president ever since because of this, that, and the other reason. If you want to get all technical about it, it's very interesting. I think they may be onto something there historically. According to those accords, Abraham Lincoln very well may have been the last president as we knew it of the continental United States of America. And now with the federalizing of everything and the big statification of it all, now a lot of us are seeing that it is in fact a fake country. It's a corporate franchise. It's a setup just like every other little nation state on earth. What's up, Christos?
Hey, I don't want to interrupt your flow. I just wanted to say I didn't realize it was Plaid Panther himself up here. I didn't see the name until just a second ago. That's awesome.
What's up? Good to see you again, man.
Yeah, thanks for coming here and sharing all this knowledge. Please continue, man.
Oh, yeah, no problem, yeah. Shoot. We were talking about some things, and Christos, he's got the AI thing going on. I know that this AI stuff is huge because of the, Microsoft and Google just came out with their announcement saying that they're going to put AI in all their spaces, and that's going to create a huge rippling effect in every industry and in everybody's jobs that uses, normie computers like Windows and Mac.
Uh-huh. Wow. Yeah, we really are on the precipice of their whole futurism agenda.
Yeah,
really
yeah.
Rolled out everywhere.
Hold on a
the
second.
whole AI thing. Grocery stores. Yeah, go ahead. Grocery stores. There's more and more self-checkouts being installed. Actually, to a detriment, I'd say. But yeah, I mean, from the Chat GPT and the AI art generators that I've messed around with a little bit. They're definitely incorporating it right now.
Yeah, universities are on their head right now. Like I did a little research because I wanted to see what was going on because ChatGPT is so new. So if you think about it, like we've only had access to it this academic school year, right? So it's only just hitting so professors and all of that are reeling from the fact that everybody's turning in essays and homework that's done by ChatGPT instead of their students. Like what effect is this having on universities, And it's true. Like all the universities are reporting the fact that pretty much all of their students are now handing in work that was generated by AI. Because you can have the AI read the ISBN of a textbook, and then feed it the fill in the blank sort of answers or answer these essay questions and say, here's the questions, here's the book it's based on. Now give me the answers to these, and it'll just spit it out right away. This is historic. This is truly going to change things.
Yeah, but
AI art.
Make a person dumber. AI is doing all the work for them. What are they learning? That's
and if you're not smart enough to use AI. Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, Chuck. If you're not smart enough to use it and prompt it and stay on top of it, then you're just going to follow the lead of a thing that is a machine and is not sentient and is actually really dangerous. There's a lot of different levels that you can take it, but just to keep it level here, you've got the AI chat stuff, which you can vocationalize and specialize to a subject degree. Like I've tested around with it a lot. It's really impressive. ChatGPT 4 is incredible. ChatGPT 4 has eyes and ears basically, because it can deal with the image aspect too. So that's incredible. These things are.
Oh yeah.
It's going to change so fast, like all these different industries, because universities don't know how to deal with it. There was a mass shooting at some university not that long ago, and didn't even really hit the news that hard, but the university got into trouble because they sent out a letter of condolences to the students, and it was generated by AI, because they left the thing down at the bottom. It says that this was just generated by ChatGPT OpenAI.
Oh my god.
I kid you not. You can't make this up. Yeah.
Wow.
So the university got into hot water for being impersonal and for getting mad at students for using ChatGPT when they can't even write a condolence letter to people that died, to the families.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't
So
know.
this
whole computer thing though, man. I don't even know. Society we don't even make a stand anymore for anything. That's the sad part. Like when our country, I don't know when it started to fall apart exactly, but like you said, 20 years ago was way different. And it seems the last 20 years has been a downhill ride.
Well, 20 years ago, one of my favorite memories about college was having debates. And like we'd go to different universities even, and I was on a debate team and loved it. It was fun. You know, it was we would go face to face with people that were, you know, libs or communists or Muslims or whatever it may be. I went to school down in Southern California, you know, and would go and debate in big auditoriums. Lots of people would come. It was never violent. There was never an element of that or even a thought of it. Like that was just unthinkable. Like nobody's going to be violent. We're over here snapping our fingers like at Cal Berkeley, for crying out loud, debating socialists. Like this is fun. But that was the air 20 years ago, you know, where you could actually have, you know, an intelligent debate with people who, you know, that maybe they can think their ways out of it. A lot of people are dumb little socialists in college, you know. That's why we have debates. That's why you go to college and have those debates, for crying out loud. But in these new universities that I see, where it gets all violent and speakers get shouted down and hundreds of cops, and you're just like, really, this is America? This is so embarrassing. This is like Soviet style, just weird stuff. Like the fact that the most fascist people call us fascists is so weird. Like, like most of us don't even believe in the state. So to like call us statists or something weird like that is just so bizarre.
They seem lost. A lot of people, man. They seem definitely controlled and brainwashed through their childhood. They did that when people start screaming. You see all these like people, these like what people call Karens, and they say, yeah, all this stuff's racist and stuff. They don't even know what racism is, man. To me, they have no idea. It's
well, half of them,
I don't know, man.
That want to talk about racism. The ones that talk about racism nonstop, they'll turn and look you dead in the eyes and talk about how white people they should not procreate. They can't. Like I took pictures I used to live in Seattle. I'm from there, actually. It's an incredibly dangerous and violent place now. I haven't been back there in years. It's a really scary place. It used to be an amazing place. It was a really awesome city, but now it's horrible. But the racists there, they will look you dead in your face and talk about why whites need to be like breeded out. You know, it's like
that reminds me of Finkelstein. Yeah, there is this guy Finkelstein, and he said that so-called white people are almost extinct, and that was their plan from the beginning. And I'm listening to this guy, and I'm like, but you're white yourself. What the fuck are these people talking about?
I have a picture. I'll put it up on my channel, or in a video or something. I don't know. It's a weird one. So, but I have a picture of it because they went up all over Seattle a few years ago, and they tacked them up, and it says it's like a little old-fashioned propaganda poster because leftists love their graphic design, and but it says, "To date a white is not all right. in really big letters. That's like the main part of the propaganda poster. To date a white is not all right.
Man. They need a nice.
And then it says in really little letters, it says propagation of the white race is the continuation of, you know, blah 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 blah, all these isms and obias and really interesting. And then it kind of says down at the bottom, so like, you know, do humanity a favor and like don't date a white, like don't let whites exist beyond this generation. It really does send shivers up your spine, because you realize that the people that you're walking around on the streets with, even the people of your own skin color, like want you dead. Like, whoa, that's intense, man.
Where did they come from? And who raised these children? And where did
I don't know where they came from, man. I feel like a portal opened up, or
this whole
some natural ritual, and a bunch of NPCs just got like.
It like when you said in 20 years have changed. I remember the 90s, man. There was, to me, at least where I live, is a melting pot of all different people. Racism, you know, there was a here and there, but people would come together for a cause, and we would stand our ground. Nowadays, it's just like, people don't even know what they're fighting for. It's just it looks so ridiculous to me. I have to laugh because it hurts so bad to see this ridiculousness. I have to laugh because it does bother me. It's like, what the hell is going on? Where are people's minds at?
Yeah, it's the theater of the absurd, man. It's totally preposterous.
And if you stand your ground or speak truth, you're called a conspiracy theorist or I know what you're talking about, Seattle. I've watched videos. And when these people were burning down people's houses and stuff, I'm like, these people even know what they're fighting for? Like,
no, you know, you ever heard that
business?
Some people just want to watch the world burn, man. That's all. They just want to burn it all down.
They need help. Their parents didn't give them a nice ass whooping growing up.
And what do you think happens when these people, if they were to burn it all down, what would they then do to each other? Would they then turn and look at each other and go, oh, let's rebuild? Or would they just keep going? Because what their behavior says is that they eat their own anyway. I mean, they don't even have to reach the end before they start turning on their own. So once they burn it all down, man, I mean, that's it. Like, so you know, you can't ever give them the upper hand. And I think in 20 years of watching all of this in my adult life, what I see now is like, we've lost so much ground just by being nice, just through the tactic of like nodding our heads and like letting them finish their sentences and get their thoughts out, and then us going like trying to understand the mental gymnastics, even going about trying to understand their mental gymnastics, like we're buying into their tactics of distraction, you know.
They contradict a lot.
Pascal said that. Yeah.
I just want to say they're the type to say they'll protest people killing animals and stuff, but then they're protesting they should be allowed to kill babies. I mean, it's contradictory. They make no sense half the time. It's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. It's so weird how the same person that will, like, I've met this type of lefty at many a music festival, many a party. We've all met the beautiful person that is really nice, that really thinks everything is connected, and the trees and the roots and the plants and the animals, and they're vegans and yada yada. But the fetus somehow is not magical. Somehow is just a clump of cells. And that, to me, the disconnect is just like, how can you see the magic in everything else but not see the magic in a baby? Like,
right.
That's the most like human, that's like the most intimate, like the most precious, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that right there is just like, whoa. So people like us, we can't even put ourselves in the shoes of trying to understand what the world looks like from their perspective. And like I said, we've been so nice to these people, partying with them and kind of just humoring them to our own detriment. Now they're everywhere. I don't even really know how it happened. How did this get so pervasive? Like, we lost the plot collectively, obviously. There's no social cohesion in our society anymore, in our culture. I don't have any social media except for YouTube.
The schools played a
Yeah.
part. I remember Obama's speech. This was all part of their plan. Obama said it. He wants to turn people against each other, and confuse the people, and have, we're all turning on each other. And it seems the government is just tightening the noose around the people's necks and our country. I remember where I live in Connecticut, we had so many factories here, and I remember I think it was 98 or 99, they were moving to China and South America for cheaper labor, and everyone was getting laid off, and 90% of the city worked at these factories. That's how they made their money. And that's when I seen the decline in our country. Just when all these big companies were moving out, I said, oh man, this isn't going to be good. And now today, there's barely any factories left. We don't even make our own stuff. Where do you see made in America stuff anymore? It's like, and if you even dare stand up for your own country, you're called all types of names. And yeah, this it's just nothing but chaos.
Yeah. It's on so many levels, You got your dog king ruler, you have your devastated social culture, the fact that there's no cohesion anymore. People are not neighborly anymore, whereas like back in the 90s or something, people were more neighborly, It's like a Western detriment, Like we don't pull together. We've been so socially conditioned to be individualists, to be proud in our individualism and standing alone, and now America wonders why all this is happening, and I'm just as guilty. Like I'm totally isolated in life, like, I sort of gave up a while back, and it is what it is, but things have progressed so quickly into the dark here in the past few years, where I remember I used to think, how could there be guards at the concentration camps in World War II? Like who would do that, right? Or thoughts like that, who would be in the Einsatz group, and why would you do that? Why would you follow the orders of Adolf Eichmann and literally go and line up like hundreds of people and drop them into open graves? Like, what on earth could possess you to do such a horrible thing? People are like that, And then the last, several years happened, and we saw 70% of people do what they did. And I go, oh, those are the people that become the guards at the concentration camps and actually do follow their orders. And then they literally just say, hey, I was doing my job, man. And unfortunately, that's 70%. That's 70% of people.
We see that now with the police and the military. And they just say, I'm doing my job. And man, that's scary. People I don't know what happened to people standing for something. What happened? I don't know, man. I can't even answer that. I
remember as a kid, like back into the 90s mindset, back in the 90s, as a teenager, I thought that racism was a thing of the past, and that like Martin Luther King and the civil rights movement, and like back the black and white photos of the you know, the white fountain, the colored fountain, you know. I thought that was history, and that we actually advanced beyond that, and we moved on, and that we weren't racist anymore. Like, I saw blacks everywhere, and I never saw racism in the 90s. Like, didn't grow up in a racist part of America, you know, literally thought it was a thing of the past. And then in the past 20 years of change, obviously we see what it is now, and it's unbelievable to me, because I literally grew up thinking that it was not a thing. But it is very much a thing. And it's, you know, is it manufactured? Are these race wars? And again, going back to the Aryan Dravidian stuff, is all of these race wars, class wars, the pitting against each other, the isolating, is this just a formulaic rise and fall of civilization, so that the controllers, the top hat wearers, can keep yanking the strings and pulling the veils, kind of opening it up and shutting it back down, doing a test run, you know? Because when we go back to the 1850s, we don't need to reiterate, but obviously it was something different. Go back 100 years from there to the 1760s and everything. Totally different, like some kind of psyop, man. Like, there's like these successive psyops all throughout history where you're just like, whoa, we literally don't know what happened like 100 years ago. It's not that hard to shut it all down and start it back up again, and one generation doesn't know stuff from the next. You know what I mean? Because the warfare is this intense. This is intense, you know, and it happens successively. And a few days going by turns into a few months, turns into a few years pretty quick. You know, of watching these the frog boil, so to speak, you know, and you're like, wait, am I in the pot? Like, am I in the water? I'm watching the water boil. Am I the frog? Oh shit. I think a lot of us are having that feeling right now, especially if you've been watching it for 20 years, and I'm like, I'm still here? Damn. Like, I kind of missed the boat a while ago. I should have just, I don't know, man. I let it get to me, you know what I mean? Like I said, like, you didn't pick it, but you're in it. Like, I'm here. You know, a lot of us, we do get trapped, you know? Like, life is the trap. You know?
Sure.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to pass the baton over.
Abe Lincoln.
Yeah. Yeah.
What were you stopped when you were saying that Abe Lincoln might have been the last president?
Yeah, because what we've seen since that reset is like provable fraud and like legal chicanery, like a total train wreck of a nation. So that's why scholars will often say that. And there's all sorts of different nitty gritty paper trails that you can go over too, you know, because it wasn't too long after that Jekyll Island and the Fed happened. Woodrow Wilson pops up, you know, and the whole place gets swindled away. I mean, there was presidents before George Washington too, but the validity of history is contestable. I think we can all agree with that. So, like, I have a hard time going back through the narrative, like the historical narrative, the further back it goes, you know, because of fraudulent history, you know. So one of the things that you do historiographically to prove things that I got really into in college is genealogies. Genealogies and like those kinds of codexes, censuses, things like that are stored in old books and old churches and old genealogical societies that are. Yeah, a lot of these places, they're run by like a couple of old ladies, and you have to like write them a letter, about asking your question about whatever record, and then they'll send you like everything that you need, And I've done this to many different historical societies, genealogical societies all over the states here, and they're always like really excited that someone wrote them a letter and is actually researching. But I don't know. Did you have a specific question about old Abe or?
Yeah, I don't know. I wanted you to keep going what you were talking about.
Oh shoot! I think I was just mentioning it in the flow there, but I actually gotta run here, man. I'm trying to juggle some things, but and then there's so much to do today. And like I said, it was such a long night, man.
You're on the West Coast, huh? So it's 1 o'clock over there.
Let's see. Yeah, only 1 o'clock. That's good.
Yeah, it's 4 o'clock here.
That's right. You're in Connecticut, you said?
Yeah. The Constitution State. Ha ha. Yeah, right.
The Connecticut State?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm out here in the desert.
That's the best place to be, I guess.
Well, for now, everything's temporary.
I would rather be in the center of the state than on the coast. If any major thing happens, at least there would be no tsunamis.
There's this place on the other side of Phoenix. I'm on the I'm like out on the way east side. But on the west of Phoenix, if you go, there's this place called Quartzsite, and you can camp there, like full-time camping, like with garbage and all of that, for like 7 months, and I think it's only like $100 and something bucks. And there's always gem shows and all sorts of booths and food, and it's always kind of like a weird festival type of atmosphere. Anyway, like Arizona's legit. So
yeah, there's a lot of Trump supporters there. A lot of people on the right wing is in Arizona.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of cowboy types and cowboy wannabe types, and Arizona has a very poor education system. If you look at it on the standards, like they're one of the worst in the whole 50 states as far as literacy and arithmetic, and so take that as you will about Arizona. Like, I mean, it hasn't been easy here. Like, I've tried to socialize and stuff here, but I thought I didn't have any friends in Seattle. It's like, whatever. I don't have any friends in Arizona either. So,
yeah, I don't know. Socializing seems to have gotten more difficult nowadays.
Extremely. And like I said, like people you used to be able to just be friend. Like I was friends with libs and stuff, like back in the early 2000s, and it all split around the Obama era, and like the economic crash 2007, things started to get polarized. All of a sudden, things started to get really heightened. Like I remember watching a friend of mine that she was like an artist friend of mine. So I was friends with lots of lefties because I'm an artist. So, but I remember it was Obama getting elected. It was like that time, and he's giving a speech on the TV, and she dropped to her knees on the floor in front of the TV and pushed her hands up against like Obama's face, like caressing him, like lovingly, you know. And I was like,
Wow.
I was shocked. Like I was like watching like this, just like watching my friend like become this weird like ogling, like what? I just couldn't even, like I still can't even. You know, and so that's when he started. Man, it's gotten so progressed. I'm losing my ability to even articulate it, man.
Yeah, that's way overboard. At least to me.
Yeah, I mean that was really benign compared to a lot of behavior that I saw. I saw people get really radicalized, really bad. Like, I mean, like I said earlier, like there's a lot of white people in Seattle, in that area, that don't identify as white anymore, and they don't talk like they're white, and they don't act like they're white, and like, man, it's so weird. It's really absurd. Like, so I left Seattle, that area. I wasn't living in Seattle, but I was living north of there, but close enough. And the whole area is just terrible. Came down here. Love it down here. It's much quieter. I love being out in the desert. So much cheaper. Oh my God. Yeah, you have to like drive a ways if you want to go anywhere and do nothing, but I don't have to worry about that really, you know? So being your own best friend goes a long way. And I had to learn, like, you know, a few years ago, once I pretty much saw all my friends kind of go their own separate ways, you know, that happens. And if you're still the mighty bachelor by your mid-30s, then yeah, you ain't got no friends. So in at least the way it is these days, you know what I'm saying? So, but I didn't have social media for many years, and you know, I was watching YouTube videos and everything, of course, but you know, no social media. But I decided to get the YouTube going and start talking, because like this really is some people's only like outlet to the, like, I can't even have conversations with normal people, so I'm not going to go to the grocery store and start talking up the grocery clerk like I would you, Charles, you know. So
yeah, it's hard to find people to spark an actual good conversation and talk about good topics. And I think social media is really taking control of people's minds. It's lowered the vibration of people and their intellectualism.
Well, man, look at what the TikTok dancers look at what the TikTok dancers have made a meme of the West out of dancing in the most absurd places in these really strange ways, man. It's very cringy, and it really does make you do the Captain Kirk facepalm, you know. Yeah, it's sad. It's totally lowered the vibration, because you know, there was a time where people had a modicum of decency about themselves, and it was like unacceptable behavior, you know, to make a fool of yourself in public. You know what I'm saying? Unless you're some kind of comedian and that's the bit, like, and there's candid camera or something, like that's what it was. Like that's the only. Anyway. You know, the fact that Americans and so much of the West can just shrug off the fact that TikTok is owned by whatever that company is with the CCP, and that it was like literally wired against them, and that the TikTok in China for their kids is like piano lessons and quantum physics and like little blurbs about inventions and stuff, and over here it's twerking and just ridiculous, gross bass stuff, just gross, you know. And for people to shrug that off and act like it's not doing detrimental harm, especially to youth, like I can say as a cusper generation, like I was born in 1984, so I just gave away my age, right? Because I don't really care about that stuff. And I grew up effectively without the internet. Like, imagine growing up, like Charles, you're younger than me, so you grew up more with the internet than I did. But we didn't have the internet.
I was born in 81.
What? Oh man.
Yeah.
My elder.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Years older. Yeah, the 90s was the best times for me. I would, man, to go back to them days, I think about it all the time.
Dude, you know, like I remember. Don't you remember how people would just like I remember the way people would hang out and talk like all day, like in the garage, and just like hang out in picnic chairs and smoke cigarettes and talk and maybe go outside, throw the ball, you know, a little bit, just ride bikes around, building a tree fort, like all that kind of stuff. Like, you know,
I would go cliff jumping at the reservoir.
Yeah, man, we had some mad tree forts back then. We'd have paintball wars too. We'd have paintball wars all over the whole neighborhood. People would get pissed.
Now everyone's stuck on computers. I don't see children really outside no more, climbing trees or throwing a ball or playing football or basketball. It's gone.
Yeah,
everyone's turning into a drone. The social media has molded them, literally. Like, I hated school, me. I knew I wasn't going to college because unfortunately Connecticut schools suck. But I listened to a lot of Wu-Tang, and I was always just about, I always loved gaining knowledge, so I would do it on my own, knowledge itself. I would go to the library and read stuff here and there and talk to people. And, you know, in my city, I could learn so much about people from all over this realm because there's people from everywhere here. So I just learned a lot by talking to people and researching on my own.
That's what I'm saying. I remember talking with everyone growing up.
Yeah. I didn't like the fact that they would shove a book in front of your face and hand you your reality. Like, this is what it is. And whatever you say, don't go, you know, like they just hand you this book and tell you this is what it was. And I remember challenging my teachers, especially when it came to like biology and science. I was always challenging the teachers because you know, they would talk about evolution and crawling out of mud puddles and stuff, and then I would just philosophize with them and like reveal the absurdities in front of the whole class, you know. And I remember getting like even getting in trouble being called insubordinate. That was the infraction, because that's crazy.
You know, whenever they would talk about that stuff, I would bring up intelligent design, and it would just drive the teacher crazy because they got nothing on the intelligent design argument, you know.
Right.
And you know, so but that was back then. So I mean, you know, it's different now. I hope there's still kids there that are still doing that, but I think a lot of the parents that, I don't know, that would raise their kid like that are homeschooling their kid now too. Like I think I've mentioned this before, but I was a high school teacher real quick for a few months, And man, it was really bad. It was after I moved down here to Arizona, and it was actually during the pandemic. And I took the job real quick because there was a bonus, and it was like immediate work. You can start next week, you know, because they just lost a teacher during the lame-demic, you know. And I walked into this class, nobody there, because it was when everything was closed, right? So I had a laptop. It was the goofiest, fakest gig I've ever had, man. It was so bad. I'm trying to sit down and make my own little video about it. I don't think I'm going to be able to do it. So, but I'm just going to have to start my own little rambling show, you know, where I can try to get some of this stuff out. But basically, it was so much worse than I thought it was. I thought I would be able to handle it. And I realized like a couple months in that there's no way. I wanted to quit really bad, but like the principal liked me, you know, everyone they were just like, listen, we really just need you to be there, blah, blah, blah. Like there's a 40% something teacher shortage in Arizona. Like the schools are literally going bust. I don't think the general public realizes this, but like as a member of the general public, I went ahead and walked in and got handed a laptop and told, here's your classroom, you know, because the schools are bust, you know. And yeah, I have a BA and can pass a background check, but you don't even need a BA to teach in Arizona. So I was like overqualified. Which is, I mean, like I said, like Arizona has the lowest standards anyway, but man, I tell you what, it was so hard. It was so disheartening and depressing and discouraging for me to realize that, yeah, it is worse than you thought. Like, it's much worse. It's so bad. Like, you don't think of it like that because you don't entertain that kind of evil, you know. But when you come face to face with it and you realize how decrepit it actually is, it's horrifying, man. These poor kids. I had kids in my high school classroom that could not read. They can't even read.
What the fuck? That's crazy.
Totally illiterate. I mean, illiterate. That's scary, man. Like, whoa. Like, wow. Because I don't know a lot about brain building and stuff. Like, like language and everything. Like I know you can't learn language after a certain age and like things like that. So like, is it same with reading and stuff too? Because like, I'm surprised that you haven't picked up words, like some words yet. Like, you know what the stop sign means, obviously, but I guess that's why it's a red octagon thing for people who can't read. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I was really blown away by that though, you know. And I was also really struck by how childish these high schoolers were. Because when I was in high school back in 1998 to 2002, that era right there in the Y2K era, I remember as high schoolers, we just wanted to be adults. Like we wanted to act like adults, and we were really excited to get the keys to the car and pretend like we were real grown up, you know, and we certainly didn't want to like watch Disney movies and be childish, right? Like you wouldn't want to do that. That's not cool, right? But in today's culture, for this generation that's in high school right now, they're very childish. Like they just want to watch Disney movies, and they'll even talk like little kids, like in like baby voices and stuff. And then you got like a group of the gender dysphorics, and they're sitting over there babbling away. And then I'll never forget this exchange between a girl who was trying to be a guy, and she goes storming over to the group of lesbians, and she yells at them because the lesbians were mad at her that she's making them look bad, and they wanted her to just admit that she's lesbian. And the trans was like, who hasn't had any surgeries or anything yet. She's like, I don't think you realize it. I was born a man. I'm a straight white male. And like, I mean, I just remember I was just floored. Like, there's chaos in the classroom, right? There's just so much is going on. And then that happened. And I drew a life card at that moment right there. You know, in the game of life, when you land on the, and you had a moment, I drew a life card right there.
That blew you back, huh? You're like, wow.
Yeah, I was just so just confounded by the whole situation. And so, of course, I was known as the anti-mask teacher because you didn't have to wear a mask in my classroom. And yeah, that whole time was it feels like a kind of like a fever dream, because it was like tyranny on your doorstep. There's these signs on the classroom that I'm pulling off every day about how you're supposed to wear a mask. Because remember, I don't care about this job. Like, please fire me. Like, I want to go home, you know. But I also want this bonus too. Like, I need this multiple $1,000s, you know. So it was like a weird thing, man. I'll never forget, in the parking lot, they set up the like military van tent thing to administer the Jibberwocky. And you had all these people just lining up. And then there was these strangers in Tyvek boots. Yeah. So scary, man. And I'm watching this and I'm like, how does this not make these, how did these people go running to this? Like, what is this? Right. And I'll never forget pulling my car up, and I actually got out again, drawing a life card moment, and I'm smoking a cigarette, and I'm watching this line of people that I work with, and they're all like dutifully doing this thing, and they're looking at me shaking their heads because I'm not in line with them, and I'm smoking a cigarette, and I'm on school grounds, which is just like, that's like a $10,000 fine, man. You know, but man, it's, you know,
running to it, and I'm running out away from it.
Yeah, and again, they're shaking their head about the cig as if that's the worst thing out there, man. Like, you know who else was really against smoking? Adolf Hitler.
Tyranny's the worst thing out there.
Yeah, man. It's just people get all upset about the most inane things. It's really upsetting, you know. But I'll never forget, like, the principal, even though I was on good terms with that guy, he would come by the room and he'd be like, "Hey, like, are you gonna go get your Jabadoo?" And I'm like, "Oh, no, sir. Thank you very much, though. You have a great day." And people were really weirded out by the way that I would like deal with them about the thing, because it's a professional setting. I don't want to step on anyone's toes, you know, but I'm also going to stand my ground. And I'll never forget, this teacher walked in to get coffee, because I always had a coffee pot going in my room. And she's trying to give me a hard time about the thing. And so I just kind of piped up a little bit about like the flu shot or something, like how I never get that, you know, and I never will, you know, and what's the point? And I made a couple of jokes, and I didn't realize it, but there was actually a couple of other teachers out front of the room listening. Had a little audience. Some of them approached me later about how they didn't know that I was. They said that I was a satirist, satirist. Anyway, it was so weird to be fielding these conversations with coworkers speaking in hushed tones. In what you're supposed to believe, you know, that this is a free country and everything, but we're struggling to talk even about this on this media here, because it's censored. Like, this is your country that you live in. You know what I mean? And it looks a lot like all these other countries in the world that has a prime minister or a presidente, and they stand up at a podium, and there's a whole bunch of no names behind them in suits. It's like,
yeah, we need to end this shit now before it's
yeah,
too late.
this is a corporate franchise. Like, the New World Order is already here.
Yeah,
it's already here. Yeah, it's been lurking. It's in the midst. It's the Matrix. The Matrix is all around you. Anyway, I gotta run off here and do a few things, but I'm gonna be listening in the background, and I might hop back up later or something. I'm motivated to do a few things today. I'm gonna try to bring a few projects to fruition that I've been working on for way too long, and but yeah, peace and blessings to the chat.
Peace, Plaid Panther. I appreciate you coming up, man. You know you're
Yeah,
always
man.
welcome up here.
I appreciate that. I appreciate you, Chuck. And all right,
Enjoy
talk
the
to you later.
conversation.
All right,
man, peace.
thanks.
Man, that was very interesting to hear Plaid Panther talk about his experience in the school. Very interesting, because I haven't talked to any teachers that went through that, and especially have a stance on, have the stance that he does. Because I would be in the same boat if I was a teacher. But this country definitely it's going down the pooper fast. If we can't do something about it, I think I've pretty much given up in that area. Almost. But my phone's freaking dying already. It sucks. I can only go an hour and a half. But that was very interesting. I might jump off and let my phone charge and come back on in about an hour. If no one goes live or nobody's busy. But I got like 20% left on my phone. So I don't know. I'm gonna jump off. Peace to everybody. Thanks for coming through. And I'm gonna go live maybe an hour and a half or something like that. I'm gonna let my phone charge up and I'll have something we can talk about. But I'm gonna end it here. Peace out, everybody. Thanks for coming through.